Still work here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Secretary, it's good to be with you again today. Mr. Secretary, I'd like to applaud you for your support of the Abraham Accords. As recently as April of this year, you were at the Israeli Embassy here to the United States, speaking in a very positive vein about what the Abraham Accords have done to bring peace and stability to a very important region of the world in the Middle East. I'd also applaud our National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, who talked about this in late January, specifically saying that the Abraham Accords brought about greater security for the region, greater economic prosperity for the region, and it was in America's interest. And I agree with those statements. I was just in Israel, as I mentioned to you this morning, and I met with a number of Israeli business leaders while I was there. They have every interest in seeing the progress that was underway, that is underway, continue. I was encouraged by the fact that they are doing business right now. I met with two businessmen who are doing business in the UAE and trying to continue this momentum forward. I think that it is a very positive development that is undertaken. I think the momentum in that direction has been very positive. I look forward to your comments on how you would continue to move us down that lane.
Yeah, Senator, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think two things that we're working on. One is with those countries that are already part of the Accords, that is, they are moving forward on normalization one way or another with Israel. We are engaged with them as well as with Israel and looking to see how we can be supportive, how we can help move that process forward. If there are any moments where things get a little bit stuck, maybe we can help unstick things. But to your point, I think people are extremely receptive, and this is going to have, I think, very positive concrete manifestations in people's lives, in particular because of the increased business, trade, economic relationships, among other things. Second, though, is we are also looking to see if there are countries that are not yet part of the Accords that might be interested in joining. We're very actively looking at that and talking to countries that may have an interest and encouraging them in that direction.
I appreciate Senator Kuhn's comments in this regard, and I would join him to say we look forward to working with you and utilizing the tools that have already been developed with the Development Finance Corporation and others that we can utilize to continue to move down this path, because I think that prosperity will breed peace, and I think the momentum is important there. Another side of this, though, is Iran. And those same people expressed to me a concern about our appeasement of Iran. And were we to continue moving in this direction, it's going to make it more difficult for us in the Middle East. I appreciate the reasons why the Europeans are there in Vienna trying to encourage this, but our partners and our allies in the Middle East are very concerned about our posture toward Iran. I mentioned this to you earlier this morning, but to the extent that Iran were to receive sanctions relief, I'm very concerned that those dollars not find their way back to proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah. I just witnessed the devastation on the ground of what that Iranian technology and Iranian funding can do and can deliver in terms of the havoc and death to civilians through that. I also am concerned about the aid to the Palestinian Authority with Hamas's involvement in the Gaza Strip, the efforts to rebuild. The Israeli leaders that I met with were very clear to me that those funds find their way into tunnels. They described a water project that had been funded for the Gaza area, that the pipes for the water project got converted into weaponry that landed in Israel. I think it's going to take a tremendous amount of diligence. I would prefer to not do this until Hamas their grip on the area has been changed. And I'm going to be very focused on, again, seeing that we be very good stewards of taxpayer dollars and not allow these dollars in any way or respect to get into the hands of terrorists again. Iran is again restated its willingness and desire to rearm Hamas and help them build their terrorism infrastructure. So I am extraordinarily concerned about any move that would put more financial capability into the hands of Iran. I'd like to turn our discussion, though, for a bit to the East Asia Pacific region. You have, and I've discussed this, I think that the Indo-Pacific strategy is absolutely critical to American safety and prosperity. The Biden administration's own plans underscore the fact that China is the only nation that's really capable of mounting resistance to America and becoming a greater and greater threat, not only to America, but to the world every day. the State Department plays a very important role in this region. And looking at the budget, the allocation of resources there, we put more resources in Africa, we put more resources in the Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs than we do in the East Asia Pacific region. And I just wanted to get your thoughts about the resourcing of the State Department in this area and where you see it going.
I very much appreciate that, and appreciate as well all of the work that you've done, including in prior capacities in this area. Look, to your point, this is the Indo-Pacific is the front line of the competition with China. China dedicates about 50% of its assistance and 50% of its economic diplomacy to the Indo-Pacific. We have asked for in the budget resources to help contend with that, but this has to be a whole of government enterprise. We talked a little bit earlier, for example, about the DFC, something I know you know very well, and other instruments that we have to compete more effectively, and that we're determined to bring to bear. But I think we're looking at this politically, and of course, I think it was very important that the President convened the first ever leaders level meeting of the Quad, and we're moving forward on that. We have working groups among the Quad countries, the United States, India, Australia, Japan.
I applaud that effort.
And then at the same time, there is, of course, the economic aspect of this, where things like the DFC and others come into play. There is the military and deterrent piece that's very important and that we're working on. In other words, we have to work this across the entire government. But let me just to assure you, in terms of our focus and our resources, we believe, as you do, that the Indo-Pacific is a critical destination for them.
Thank you. I'll just close with one comment. I was very encouraged by your report from the G7 that your counterparts are appreciating and understanding the threat from China, particularly from a technology standpoint. And you and I have talked about this before. The Clean Network Initiative, I think, is a great is a great piece of work that's been undertaken. I want to continue to encourage you to undertake that effort, however you decide to name it. But I think that it can have a terrific impact in terms of bringing our allies together to support a clean network around the world. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Markey. I'm going to ask Senator Schatz, would you preside so that I can go vote? Thank you.